to this. Ooh, never.
That freaks me out every time.
Continue.
I've never heard that before. That was a bit...
You are consenting to being recorded. Who's recording it?
Me.
So, we recording now? Excellent. How's my hair? Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Welcome to the June edition of the Ashford Kent Digital Meetup. This is a place where people in digital, people interested in digital, and people who can spell digital, we all come along. We have a couple of talks, or sometimes a talk and a panel. We learn about digital, we learn from each other, we share experiences, and then it sort of just descends into chat about dogs, really. That's kind of what happens most week. We have got a bumper show. And I was just saying, like, 6 weeks, I do this once every 6 weeks, and that's just enough time to forget absolutely everything. So now I'm going to try and figure out how to share my screen. Screen 2, share. This is what we've got coming up for you. Today, we are talking social media marketing. Here's the agenda. We've joined via the Zoom link. Well done. We're doing great, guys. 5 more things to go. We can do this. We've got Elle's talk, then a break, then Molly's talk, then a joint Q&A session with both speakers. Now, because I'm a clever little puppy, I just will very quickly introduce both of our speakers that we're going to have today. So our first talk comes from Elle Cloak. She's the managing director at We Do Social Media. And her talk is going to be called Build Your All-in-One Social Media Strategy to Stop Losing Your Direction and Losing Business. It's a 5-step process of creating a social media strategy, and that's going to help you grow your presence. So I'm really super looking forward to that. I think social media is a thing that a lot of businesses struggle with. So if you're here tonight now, pen and paper is going to be absolutely essential, because you are going to get knowledged. Second talk after the break, that 7:05 break, which we are going to overshoot because I am in control of the time. Our second talk comes from Molly Wright, founder and director of Molly Moodle Media. And no, her middle name is not Moodle, but I'm sure she gets asked that all the time. Her talk is called Why Businesses Need an Established Social Media Presence in 2021. And that's you know, that's actually a good SEO title as well. But SEO is for another week. She's going to be exploring how businesses can start to develop their social media presence and why it's so important to get started in 2021. This has been an exceptional year. These are going to be exceptional talks, and I am very soon going to hand out, if I can just find the stop sharing button. I am now going to hand over to Elle with her talk, and it's over to you, Elle.
Right, thank you. I will just warn you now, I do have 2 cats. They love a good Zoom meeting, and one of them eyes up the top of this shelf. And last time he tried to jump up there, everything fell on my head during a Zoom meeting, during my 60 seconds, actually, ironically. So if that happens, I've warned you now. Can everyone just see my slides, or can they see like my whole notes and everything else?
We can see everything.
Cool, right, let me check that. You don't need to see my notes, do you?
I actually had a slide for you. I say Megan had a slide for you, but
I had a slide for both of you, but Erin didn't want to show.
Yeah, 6 weeks. It's a long time. It's a long time in showbiz.
Well, that's no problem. So I just want to share a little bit about me first, so you kind of get in the person behind the talk. We're a family-run business. We run Redo Social Media. As I said, we've got 2 cats. We rebranded last year. because the business has been going for like 7-8 years now, so it's time to refresh and spice us up a little bit. I'm a story brand certified guide, which I'll go into another time because that could take me 20 minutes alone. I'm a teaholic, as Molly's already mentioned, my giant ass mug. I love my tea. And for a young bug, I do have experience in many different careers. I've worked in commercial kitchens, mortgage industries, lending industries, visa applications, you name it. So I'm pretty diverse in a few things, but I shall crack on. That was what my logo was, by the way. I thought you can't mention rebranding and then not show what you were before, right? There we are. So why would you need a social media strategy? Now, I have told and taught hundreds of people over the last 7 years why they and how they get to have one, and they should have one, blah, blah. Yet some people don't do it. And why they don't is because they say they don't have the time. They think it's a waste of time. They can't be bothered. They'll be fine without one, is what I hear. If I go, well, why didn't you do that then? But then they come back to me and they go, here's what happened by me not having a social media strategy. They aren't achieving results. They're still frustrated with social media. They're wasting their time when they're trying to do social media. They're running out of content ideas. Their content is naff, and there's just no consistency. I tell you that because here's what can happen when you do have a social media strategy. I really want you to take this away, mine and Molly's talk, and think, right now, what can I do to utilize your time that you're spending here? Well, one, your time is going to be spent more productively by implementing everything from tonight and more. Your social media is going to grow, your engagement is going to grow, your content is going to be brilliant, you're going to have more time to focus on day-to-day content, your website traffic is going to grow, which I'm sure Erin would like, and also your business is going to grow in turn. So I mean, having that plan in place is so important, guys. So please definitely heed the words of tonight, please. Alrighty, so step one. I'm sure you've heard this before in all your social media talks, but your goals, they are so vital, because if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going, it's going to be a lost direction. Don't worry about screenshotting these pages, by the way. I will share my slides with you so you can answer these questions in your own time, and you can spend more time thinking about it. But by a show of hands, I just want to see how many of you have really sat back and thought about your social media goals. No, see, oh, look at Molly's face. I can see it. Yeah, Aaron, there's a lie. I can see it in your eyes. But see, okay, that's fine. And that's a good place now, is for you to start with your goals. We do like our SMART goals, don't we, in business? But it's true, they do need to be attainable, relevant, time-bound, blah, blah. They do, because if you don't set these things in place, you're not going to have anything to measure your goals by, like with anything in business. Step two, I'm running through this quite quickly already, but I'm cautious of the time that we've got. Step two, you want to then audit your social media channels. Are they achieving the goals that you have set? If they're not, you need to start reviewing them. There's lots of things that you can do to audit, and I'm going to share something later where you can just have it on an Excel sheet. But these are definitely a few of the main questions to ask. How many social media platforms do you manage? I helped a magazine company that have loads of magazines across the UK, and he's got so many different social media channels, it all became a bit of a blur. And he had 2 Twitter profiles for 1 magazine. Now, I know we are only kind of small to medium businesses, but you'd be surprised how many businesses do have more than 1 channel on the same platform. And that can really confuse your audience. So have a look, see where you're at. Are you achieving those goals that you want to? What's working and what isn't is going to be another next good place to start, because now you can see where you are and then what you need to do to improve. And this is a must say, my favorite bit is coming next, because it gets like the brain juices. I love it. It's creating and improving. I love And what is actually, I'm taking that the wrong way. You want to create your social media channels or improve your social media channels. So if you've not got any social media platforms at the minute, don't go balls deep and then get a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google My Business and LinkedIn, because you're just going to overwhelm yourself. Start with one, build up your consistency, build your presence and build your understanding. So you're not overwhelming yourself with too much information. I've seen people do it time and time again, and they're like, oh my God, I can't cope. I've got my business to run for starters. I'm not a social media person. Either you do it for me or somehow take it away so I can do less. If you have already got these social media platforms, then review that they are all consistent with your brand. You'll see as my slides go on, you'll see my other social media platforms. They've all got the same heading. They've all got the same logo eventually. I mean, it did take a while because I forgot I even had a new logo, I'm not going to lie. But they do now. And they've all got similar bios depending on the market I'm trying to reach. So really deep dive into that as well. I'm gonna have a swig of my tea. Excuse me a minute. Problem is with this mug being so big, I've really got to like tip it. So I fooled myself, to be fair. Okay, so then your next step. I'm really rushing through this, so feel free to ask me for help at another date. There's no problem. Step 4 is your content strategy. Now, this really does get the brain juices flowing, doesn't it? Because that's where your creativity is going to come into place. You know what you want to achieve, you know where you're at, and now you can think, right, what content is going to reach my target market and it's just going to blow their mind and it's going to be so fun to make, depending on what company you are. Some people don't want to be fun, they just want to be how it is, and that's fine. But you can really do some amazing content, whatever their goal is. If it's educational, you can provide such an informative and sexy how-to video. Whereas if you're a bit more fun, I always think of the Knowlton brothers. They like just make me crack up every time they do a video, yet they're still helping their audience. So they're definitely one to check if you're thinking of content ideas. Amazing content will get you really far. And asking yourself these questions: how often am I going to post and promote? Do I have a calendar? Do you know dates in advance are really going to help you plan out your content? And then if you're going to an event in person, hopefully one day, fingers crossed, you'll have more time to post in the here and the now. You'll notice it will save a lot more time. Alrighty, and final 5th step, track and adjust. So you can't have a plan without doing. You have got to do, otherwise you don't know if the plan works. As your plan is coming into place, you really want to track the performance, make sure it's hitting those goals, and that your audit has done its due diligence, and then you want to adjust it. So you can audit your profiles regularly if you want to, but I do have a tracking kind of monitoring sheet where you can see the analytics. So as long as you know your goals and you've got them written down, you can then start establishing what metrics you really want on your social media. Now, with goals, I definitely want to stress, if your goal is to get leads, but you're not getting them from social media, track it down a bit and think, okay, well, what am I not getting? If you don't have likes, you're not going to get any leads. If you don't have any engagement, you're not going to get any leads. If you're not sharing any good content, you're not going to get any good leads. So really narrow down those goals and it will eventually happen. If you're not getting website traffic, you're not going to get any leads. And I must say, if your website is naff, in a better word, I could say worse, then they're not going to come to you again. So that's where all of us really do work together. Me, Molly, Aaron even, work together, because people are going from your social media to your website. And if your website's a bit poop, then they might not go any further. So make sure it all is nice and sexy and beautiful and works really well. Now, because I have gone through this so fast, I am going to have a treat for you guys. But just remember, it takes time to do social media well. You have got to get a presence, as Molly is going to rightly tell us later on. But that's not going to happen instantly. It will work for you. Just take your time and really follow your strategy. Don't think, oh my God, 3 months, it's not working, throw it all out, let's just go off the beaten track. No, stick to it, please, and then review it. And if it needs adjusting, adjust it, tweak it, but don't throw it away, please don't. Otherwise I'll come and knock on your door and I'll give you a hug because they're illegal at the minute. So you don't want that, do you now? But anyway, here's a little treat. For today, I created a few things. It's got an audit template on there. It's got a calendar overview and some key dates. You've got a content calendar that you can write your content in if you don't use a scheduling platform, and a social media report template, so your tracking and monitoring tool. I'll put the link in for that, and it's also got the slides for today in there as well. Also, I'm going to put a link for a free 30-minute consultation, because I can't give you all this information and be like, go young ones, you've learned everything, because that would just be unfair, and I don't think you would actually get much from it. So yeah, I'll put that in there. The 30 minutes is only for you guys and only for today, but the bundle I'll send out to Erin and Megan, so they can send out to you at a later date as well. Alrighty, there you are. Feel overwhelmed.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. That was excellent. I've actually started writing notes for questions for later, because I've got a bunch of them. I will very briefly actually put up your slide that I didn't show earlier because I'm naughty. So that everyone,
oh, look, there I am. There
you are. So everyone can see your details and everything. You've done an amazing. I was destined to run us over like I do every single week, but you've actually pulled us back on time, which which I really appreciate. So I think what we'll do is we'll stick to time. We'll take a short break now, 10 minutes. Then we'll come back, we'll have Molly's talk. And then at the end of Molly's talk, we'll have a joint Q&A. So everyone get one of these and one of these, and start writing down words. Pertinent words would be ideal, not just like apple, aardvark, antelope. Yeah, pertinent words that could form questions that we can ask Molly and Elle. So yeah, if we're all back here for 7:15, Bonza. Excellent, we're back. Oh, I need to set up again, don't I? Hi, welcome back after that break. What did you do, YouTube? We're going to roll right in with our next talk, and I will share the screen because I learned from my mistakes. We've got Molly Wright, who's founder and director of Molly Media. They're a full service social media management business. I'm doing a terrible job of reading this, Molly. Molly's there just like cut. All the things that you can see on the screen. I'm sorry, I'm just going to stop there because I'm doing a terrible job. And over to you, Molly.
That was the best introduction I've ever had. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Right, okay, so hello everyone. Let's jump straight in. So for this particular talk, when I was asked about doing a talk on social media, it was one of those things where I thought, well, actually, what is it that we need to sort of consider in our social media marketing for 2021? And I know we're only 6 months into the year, but it's more of a mindset and how we need to approach our marketing in the future and actually our strategy moving forward. Because what I find is when I speak to a lot of business owners is that this is always one of those things that people haven't got the time to sit and do their social media. It's always pushed to the back burner, and there's never, as Elle said, you know, to come up with a goal and a plan, people have all the right intentions, but the delivery. So this is almost a presentation to go through why it's so important. So we'll crack straight on. Funnily enough, Elle done an amazing job of introducing herself and what I do. So as Aaron beautifully said, I'll quickly introduce myself. So I'm Molly Wright. I'm the founder of Molly Moodle Media. So we bring brands to life online with organic social media services. We offer social media mentorship, consultations, and full social media management. So we teach people how to do social media. We either mentor through them or we just manage it for them and they can put their feet up and have a cup of tea. So I come across this quote when I was putting this presentation together, and it really sort of hit home about the strategy moving into 2021. And it was by Dan Whedon, and I think the real risk comes in being willing to try to be authentic. And I thought, oh, he's an interesting character because he was started a marketing agency and they worked with Nike, and he coined Just Do It. One of the hardest things for us as business owners is to, as I mentioned, not only to find the time to promote our business and tell people what we do, but is to actually allow ourselves to expose who we are, who we're working with, what are our successful projects, what are our day-to-day lives like, and actually show the authenticity of our day-to-day lives. And the reason why that is because we're not sure of how that's going to be taken. We're not sure. It's a lot of risk to us. Whereas actually, when you're looking on your social media profiles, you'll notice that what are the things that you're attracted to? What are the things that you're interested? You know, when people, funnily enough, Elle mentioned Knowlton, they've really stepped up in their marketing over the last year, where they've sharing their personal stories about building a business, building a brand. They've made comedy videos. They've, you know, made a podcast where they're talking about their experiences and their knowledge, and they're sharing. They've totally opened up the book and exposed everything about what it's like in their agency, and it allows people to get to know them, and it builds a better working relationship. So for us as business owners, we want to show about our services, what we do, and sort of keep it at a baseline level, but actually to be authentic, talk about the positive, the negative, the reality, talk about the successes, talk about the journey is so much more powerful in 2021. And yeah, we're going to explore that even more. So something that really caught my attention was and I'm sure it did for all you as well, is in 2021, we saw that Boohoo and ASOS bought the likes of majority of the business from the Arcadia groups. We're talking Debenhams, Burton's. They bought Topshop, which was like the crowning jewel for Arcadia, and we saw those famous pictures of Philip. Is it Philip Green? Was on his yacht with his big belly hanging out on the phone, like, oh, what do I do? And it was, what was really, really interesting is when we looked into this, I thought, what happened? And it was the internet, and it was the way that things changed. And shops on the high street have been, I mean, shops in general, and walking into one and buying a product has been going on for thousands of years, onto little market stalls. And this is the first time where that setup and that dynamic is changing because of online. The fact that these shops have faltered because they haven't had good marketing to carry them through, that is the sole reason why they shut. It's because they didn't have the social media and digital presence to manage to sustain enough sales to generate sales online and to generate sales in store. Now, when you're looking into this, what is it about Boohoo and ASOS that are getting all of these sales and leads? Is it the quality? Because I tell you what, some of their stuff isn't that quality, not comparison to the likes of Debenhams and Topshop. If you're looking at actual quality of clothing, I think that Boohoo and ASOS is a bit rubbish compared to the other two. It's not about that. It's about relationship building. And when you're looking into the social media marketing that Boohoo is putting out and ASOS are putting out, some of their best performing posts and successful posts are things that have got common ground with their target customers. They talk about girl brunches, they talk about going on holiday, they talk about, you know, embarrassing moments or like not wanting to go into work. It's all of those subject matters and conversations that are relating to their target customers, where people feel like they know them, they warm to them. And ASOS and Boohoo dressed to fit this lifestyle of the girl that they're targeting, whereas Debenhams, Ace, Topshop, Burton's are just selling clothes. There's no online relationship. They're literally there as a platform. So what we're seeing is that brands and businesses who are not taking the time and effort to tailor their marketing to be relatable to their target customers are suffering and are losing out, because that is the way where people are engaging with brands now, through their social media accounts. And it's just incredible that on a large scale like this, that we can actually see this play out, where businesses who are not taking the time and effort to communicate, to tailor their marketing for target customers are suffering, and the ones who are reaping the benefits. For the fact that that they are making sure that they should close shops so they can take everything online. This is a huge industry change. And I will just say, I talk to a lot of construction businesses, I talk to a lot of florists, talk to a lot of businesses, and one of the reasons why social media isn't part of the top of their list is because they've got a job to do. They've done things a certain way for 50 years. They've had a shop that's run, or they've got a tender. But this here is an example that can only change. The way that you do business and the way that you operate can change. And it's if you haven't got a digital presence, if you haven't got the means to take customers
Hey,
in
Molly,
online.
we're losing you. I don't know if anyone else is getting it, but your audio is breaking up.
Now.
Oh no.
My tech guy. Hang on,
Yeah.
2 seconds.
IT support.
I thought it was somebody tapping on a keyboard, but everybody's muted. But yeah, it was really cracking up, wasn't it?
Yeah. Echoing now. Try. I don't actually know.
I'm going to take a headset. Are we ready for this?
Right.
That's good.
Perfect.
That's good.
Okay, brilliant. So I'll take these
it
off
was
for
where
now.
you were moving your hands and everything. It was going with the mic, I think.
Pardon?
I think it was where you were getting into it with your hands and it was in the mic.
Yeah. Right, I'll quickly jump back onto the point before I move on to the next point. So thank you, by the way. Thank you for letting me know. With that being said, industry as we know it and the setup of how our businesses work and what they do can change as rapidly as it has in the fashion industry within the space of 5 years. And the way that you can prepare for that is having a good setup of a digital presence. And yet 75% of Britain's small businesses don't even have a website. So you can see that this correlation between what businesses need to do and what's actually the industry standard is. People are still working at the level they always have, and yet the impact of not having a digital presence is making huge impact, and it's not, we're not reacting to that. So that's just something to bear in mind of, even though social media might be a low priority on the list right now, you think, I will get to it, I will put the effort in. Just think about how much of a difference it made by not doing that for brands like for the fashion industry, and how that could potentially make an impact in the long run. For example, this is their growth within the last 5 years or 4 years even, and how it's just jumped and jumped and jumped. Now, it's easy to take this for granted for be just for fashion, but I don't think we should look at it that way. I think we should bear in mind that any industry in business could be impacted by not having that digital presence. This is very ranty, by the way, but I feel like it's a necessary rant. I feel like I'm telling, I'm getting us all sort of motivated for the future. So how change is taking effect. So this is a really interesting statistic from Sprout Social. So I'm trying to quickly just move myself from the screen. There we go, that's what I need. But yeah, so how change is taking effect. So after following a brand on social media, consumers continue to engage in various ways. 91% visit the brand's website or app, 89% will buy from the brand, and 85% will recommend a brand to a family and friend. What I find really interesting about these statistics is that we are seeing that they are how following a brand on social media and that constant remarketing, building relationships, and that brand putting out constant messages is actually having a long-term impact on a business by actually making recurring sales, and how our relationship of what we expect from a business. If we buy from them or we're interested in them, we're expected to go onto their social media and see a presence and see stuff that connects with us if it is relevant to us. And how much of, as you can see through the statistics, how much we expect a company to have a brand presence. And this, even though this is quite general for like bigger businesses, this we still have that expectancy for them. Therefore, we'll have that expectancy for small businesses too. So again, here's sort of like a comparison with that. Whereas Debenhams, you know, modest at 319,000 followers. On this account, it's, you know, they haven't got a call to action. It's just got the link to the website. They post solely about what they're selling. So it's a selling page and say, we've got this product with this, you know, beautiful graphics, and, you know, the aesthetic is really nice. You've got those creamy colours in there, but it's a sales page. And they've only posted 4,000 times. In comparison to Boohoo, who post up to twice a day, possibly even 3 times a day. They've got every single scenario set out of what they've got in their Instagram story. They've got a clear call to action with tag Boohoo for the chance to win a £50 voucher. And they've got a particular link set up for you to do it. That post there with Rihanna says, I'm going to treat myself. I can't even read that. But that is not a post that's selling at all. That post is to be relatable and, you know, play on the fact that it comes into payday and we say we've got loads of money to spend, but we're actually skint. That's the mindset of someone shopping on Boohoo who's trying to get a sale. So they're in depth into their mindset of their target customer, whereas Debenhams is a selling page. So if you're on your social media platforms and you think, well, actually, what call to action do I have? What urgency have I given my customers? How have I tried to feel like we're on the same wavelength? Consider that, because that is the type of things that's going to build those long-term relationships. So working with the algorithm, as we saw, I mean, like, every time I hear some people say like TikTok, they go, oh, TikTok, all I hear is TikTok. My kids love TikTok. You know, someone I know loves TikTok. The thing is about it, though, is that why it's hugely successful is that it's extremely simple. Barely any marketing, it's like any advertising platform trying to sell on there in a traditional sense. And it's easy to consume and really entertaining. But if once TikTok knows what you like, the algorithm will keep giving you stuff that you like. This is the reality that we're working now. As businesses, as brands, we can put up something that we think is interesting or we think makes us look professional. But if it's a boring piece of content or it's something that has no value for your target customer, then the algorithm isn't going to put that piece of content in front of your target customer, because that's not what they're interested in. You know, I, for example, love watching Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. I like pictures of people and their families, so Facebook will give me more of that. Or I like seeing a bullet point of latest industry news in social media, what like someone like Digital Women will do. That, because I like that, they're now putting that content in front of me. So think about how the algorithm works, look into your target customers and what they're already liking, commenting and sharing, and think about how you can talk to your customers, not just shout at them and say, this is my product, get in touch. Find that common ground, learn about the things that they enjoy engaging with, and make that content. And make those conversation starters. It sounds like a lot, but if you was to sit down and do it, you think, actually, I've worked out a few ideas here. This goes back to that point of our mindset towards social media. Now, there's a lot of businesses that actually do have a social media marketer in their business, or they have someone in the business that does the marketing, or they do the marketing themselves. And part of the problem is that because the social media is so low on the priority list, you're not getting that attention span, and you're not getting that, you know, boardroom message where you're saying, I think we need to push harder with this. So if you're thinking to yourself, social media is one of those things I need to crack, which you must think, because we're on this chat now and we're considering this, it is an industry thing where not everyone is thinking that this is the priority. Whereas this is almost my sort of like shake, like this is it. We need to bear in mind that the impact of not having a social media presence and how that, and especially in the long run, how that can make an impact. So it's actually putting into your routine, a bit like that horrible gym workout when you said, oh, I need to go to the gym, but I can't be bothered to go. That is the vibe with social media. No one wants to do it. You just got to do it and actually make it worth your while. But you've got to make a priority, because in the industry, unfortunately, for some people it's top priority, but for others it's not. So it's not like an industry census of everyone needs to put 10 hours in a week. You need to put that time in, and you know, because that level of urgency isn't felt across the field. So again, how long does your business spend in total on social media for marketing purposes? A lot of people are on the lower end of the scale rather than on the higher end, for up to 2 to 5 hours or more than 5 hours. So we need to integrate that ourselves. So how to establish your business's social media presence? Share your stories and share what you've got going on, whether it's expanding or growing the business, however you sort of want to, especially if you're changing the service to make a bit, to appeal more to your target customers. Tell them about that. Develop a real tone of voice. We as soon as we get onto we see our logo and we see the page, we just instantly go into robot mode and get in touch, find out more. Did it really? No, like actually, who are you? What are your brand? As Elle said about, you know, think about your morals, think about, you know, your values and about what you stand for, what you care about. Make that is your tone of voice. Create call to actions. Actually make your social media actionable. So it's, but not all of it. Oh, sometimes I go on LinkedIn and I'm like, this is so boring, because people are like, sign up to my course, and that's all they post. They don't share any sort of daily content, engaging. Create diversity, but also actually make some actionable causes, and be consistent with building real relationships. Now's the time to be physically talking as a brand. Ooh! Promoting brand advocacy on social media is key to unlocking each expert. So shouting about your brand doesn't work anymore. To get results, you need to engage with real people at a human level and get them to trust your brand so that your network will grow organically. Giraffe social media, mwah, couldn't say it better myself. Check them out, by the way. They always give away amazing value. So that's it. We need to be more human and be more human. Talk as a brand. Talk to people rather than shout at them, and allow people to trust your brand. Cool. So that's me, Molly Moodle. Now, if you want to know more about me and what we do, head over to the website, mollymoodle.com. My email is molly@mollymoodle.com. If you'd rather a phone person, I know there's still loads of phone people out there. That's at my phone number there, and also my personal number, because just in case you prefer to WhatsApp. And we're on all social media. So I hope that was helpful. That was really quick and intense, but I just thought for the sake of time, I'll quickly do that.
Cool.
Boo.
Shit. There's nothing worse than listening to social media experts telling you what is terrible on social media, and you're sitting there thinking, oh shit, that's exactly what I do.
Oh no, but do you know what though? No, but do you know what? That's exactly what, like, even me, I didn't post for months because I was like, I've got a launch, I'm not going to share anything that's that. And actually, you know, that's probably even worse. So it's getting into the habit of doing things right, but it's so time consuming, but the long-term effect, you get so much more value at the end of it. So I'm really like choked up.
This is your first KDM in like since we did it at the Picture House.
Yeah, Picture House, yeah.
Yeah. So it's emotional. It's emotional to have you back, man. That was awesome. Thank you both. We're gonna jump into a Q&A now. I generally take the first question, and I have been writing them down. So you guys are in trouble now. Now you need to back your chat.
Oh,
no. But if anyone else has any questions, feel free to just like jump in. This kind of like, you know, it's an open forum. So yeah, unmute, get involved. Yeah. So which one do I pick? I've never done this before, but today I thought, do you know what? Yeah. Okay, here's one that was running across my mind. Like, is it, it was two questions. There's never one question with me. Is it really worth a small business trying to run their own social media account if they haven't got like a dedicated person for it? And at what point do you call in like the pros effectively? Because there's a lot of like small solopreneurs, like, you know, that are just spinning plates, and then, oh gosh, now I've got to tweet, post on Instagram, that. I'll go Elle first because you have a cat on you. So she with the cat shall speak first.
I shall. Yes, I do think it's just as important, if not more so, in that case. You, as an individual, like a solopreneur or a small to medium business owner, where you have to be a face of your business, using the social media to build relationships, is a foundational level. I didn't know Molly until social media. So I learned more about Molly, even you guys, through social media. And just from that, and not even saying anything to any of you, I felt like I knew who I could connect with because of how you guys were posting on social media. So then I wanted to then start commenting and start liking, and people are going to do the same to you. It's that horrible cliche, people buy from people. Well, they do. So you need to show who you are online for people to then come and buy from you, and for you to build relationships with other people.
Yeah, I agree. More.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the thing is, it comes back to this thing with timing again, which is where people haven't got the time. So what I would suggest is look into, this can sometimes fold in two ways. Number one, look into the platforms that is very good for you, for your industry, where your target customers are, where your industry is. Because, for example, you might say, do you know what, I've built a bit of presence on Twitter, and you keep on there, but no one's there that's engaging or interacting, or there's no business rapport going on. So say, for example, take the pressure away from yourself being on all platforms, and you think, right, actually, for example, I'm a business coach, a lot of business owners are on LinkedIn, they're actively talking about their business on LinkedIn, I'm going to go and target those and build a presence on there instead. And then, it doesn't have to be daily content, it doesn't have to be constant online. At minimum, it could be 2 posts a week or 3 posts a week, but so long as they're impactful and so long as they are making a difference to the for your marketing, that's where it gives you the value. But then you start questioning to yourself, well, what is good content? What is good value? Look at your own behavior. Look at your competitors and seeing what. I always like to split my competitor analysis up into 2 parts, which is industry, which is like the top tier people who are doing the boss job of it, and your direct competitors, the person next to you. What are they doing that's working successfully? Analyze that and take those strategies on board, and then look at what you're already engaging with, what you're interested in on the timeline. And if you know that a video that you watched made you laugh and that got 100 views, how can you adapt that to your strategy? But again, if it means getting a video production in and you're going to make a mass version of that, don't do that. Make the things that you know are realistically actionable for you during that time. So it actually serves the purpose. But more importantly, things even like LinkedIn, if you know that your demographic are directors of businesses, you can actually type in director of whatever industry and business, and you can see the posts that they're already liking, already sharing. So you already know what your target customers like, because you can see, repurpose that content in a way that you can do it in the best form that you can. Don't try and copy and doing that job. Do what you think can work. Go to the heart of where you want to go.
So kind of remix. You can kind of use them as inspiration and then remix it or do your own version, kind of thing.
Absolutely, because realistically, it's not like, and no one's reinventing the wheel. When someone makes a high-end professional video, or they take a picture on their mobile, or they make a graphic design, it's all the same stuff. And even the subject matter or the topic, it's somehow been made or done before. So if you put the pressure on yourself to, how can I make this so different to everybody else? You're going to be fighting a losing cause, because somewhere, somehow, someone's done it. Now, don't get me wrong. If, like, for example, go back to Knowlton's again, you chuck on a wig and did a boardroom meeting where it pretends to be LinkedIn identities, then you know that's directly from the Knowltons. But if you was to say, make a series of graphic designs about the type of people that, that you deal with or work with or want to help, then that's not copying, It's repurposing content to suit you.
Got a question from...
Quick comment.
Go for it.
Sorry, you know me, Aaron, always jump in. It's interesting that both you and Ellie had referred back to the Knowltons, because I do follow Dan and Lloyd, because they've been on the sort of the physical networking circuit for the years that I started up. I actually find that they sort of almost trivialize things a little bit too much, which might be appealing to a certain sort of market, the much younger startup business owners, which if that is their target arena, then that's fine. But I actually shy away from it and just think, no, I think you just make a little bit too much of a joke and a laugh about it. And is that how you carry on business? So it's quite a dangerous thing, because you're having to appeal to very different audiences, aren't you?
Exactly that, and that's part of what I find is almost part of the gamble of and that's part of the focus, because for them, what they're doing is they want to appeal to those bigger brands, to those bigger companies who, you know, have got thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds for a marketing budget. That's their remit. They're also very aware, and the reason why I go back to them, probably Elle, you do too, is that you can see it's a strategy in motion. You can see it's a plan in place taken out, which is really clever. But the comedy videos is, they know that video content is the #1 form of content that gets the most engagement, and they know that comedy does really well, and they also know that by playing to the relatable factor of something that all applies to us, we're going to laugh along to. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people that do skits and stuff, and I think, but they take a risk, and they took that gamble to chuck on a wig, and we become weakest link, and in my opinion, it's paid off. But I'm very aware that their marketing isn't for me. They want to show the big wigs in the industry that look how much engagement we can do, look how much knowledge we know and understanding of the platform. So I totally get that. If you look at the strategy for digital women, for example, it's extremely relatable, very soft design, and it's very actionable and makes things that you want to do. So, you know, it's funny how the approach is, but what they both do is they have got a strategy that is solely for their target customer and where they want to go in the future to attract, whilst also being aware of their community and appealing and, you know, playing to the strength of the platforms and the platforms that they're on. Because they're not doing that on Twitter. They're rarely doing that on Instagram. Their whole focus is on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect of them really knowing their audience. Sorry, go on now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to add to that, it's also their target market. So there's also a point where with relatability, you're attracting the people that you want to attract. So I can use two examples for, a few examples. Myself, I know that we want a bit more of a light-hearted sort of client that doesn't mind a bit of a joke, a bit of banter, maybe a few cuss words every now and then. So I'm not gonna, shy away from saying the S word or effing in an occasional post. And I can definitely see with the Knowltons, they're seeking a particular type of client, not just the demographic of they're a marketing manager for a big Fortune 500 company. No, it's also their personality they're trying to attract too. Whereas we've got a financial broker on our books, very serious. They don't want any word fillers, for example, in their content, because they want serious people that want to start a good business.
I've got to be honest and
it
say,
really does.
I've got to be honest and say, I think the Knowltons are absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
I love it. I find it hilarious.
I think, Linda, if you think it's only the younger generation, I'm delighted you said that, because I'm obviously still a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not though, because they're not aiming towards my generation. They're aiming for the 30s to 40s, I'd say. The people that are in a senior marketing level job. So you'll notice in there, it's scary. Honestly, I think I was a fangirl because I remember these little details. But they'll say they'll mention knickknacks in a video, and it's that a certain demographic that will remember that. And the only reason I do is because it's what my sister used to scoff down her face.
Yeah.
Back in the heyday, I suppose. So that's the only reason I know, but anyone else might not be able to relate to it.
That's really interesting, Elle, because when you said knickknacks, I thought of little tiny ornaments made out of shells that you pick up from bloody Margate.
And I mean the crisps.
Not crisps. Exactly. That is so spooky. I'm clearly not in the 30 to 40-year-old bracket either.
Oh, I say knick-knack for little things, so don't worry about that. But they use a brand of crisps too. Yeah.
We've got a question from David Smith. Do different platforms react differently to these methods? Is there any advice for Twitter specific growth? So he's seen LinkedIn grow from 500 to 2,000 plus using many of the methods, but their Twitter is stagnant.
Yeah, so I personally find that Twitter, across the board, Twitter conversion is one of the lowest, it all depends on the industry. We work with construction clients, and when we jump on their Twitter account, they've got a fantastic community on there, and it's a lot of companies getting up at 5, 6 in the morning, like sharing their posts, individuals on the construction site, and you can really join in on those conversations and talk about things of like who's getting their morning coffee, or like finishing on site at 2, 3 o'clock cold beer, and that's really relatable, and that works well with the brands. They feel like they know them, they like them, they trust them. We work in a co-working space, and being connected to the local community and managing, talking to people is really powerful, and that can do conversion. However, it depends on what your intentions are with Twitter. Twitter is almost like the anti-selling place in a way. Don't get me wrong, you can convert, but it's extremely community-led and extremely opinionated, and people want to talk and discuss, and it's fast news, it's opinions. And so if there's something going on in your local area and everyone's involved, like Midway 2025 bid, it's a great way to be a part of the community. Whereas if you're on there and you're solely talking about yourself and your sellers and your businesses, you're not going to get as much of a great reaction, as opposed to LinkedIn, where it's more of sharing stories and you're sharing your growth, your business journey and stuff like that. And you are being a lot more self-focused with your marketing, but you can excel on that. So I think it's really about analysing the platform, seeing what's working extremely well, and again, looking at what your target customers, but not just your target customers, the people in your business community, people who are in your circle, what connects you to them. For example, we're all Kent business owners, so we've got that shared interest. If, for example, there was a news bulletin that come out that said, due to COVID, Kent business owners have got a £10 million grant, all our ears would prick up and go, hang on a minute, because that's something that's relatable to us. So, it's about playing to the strengths of the platform, seeing what already works, seeing what's going to complement your community, your target customers, and your associates, and that's the way that you grow and excel your brand and experiment with content. So you've got to experiment before you know what works and doesn't work. Or right off the platform.
Twitter.
And I completely agree with Molly, and I would say pinpoint, read between the lines there, your community, building relationships. You can post as much as you like, but if no one's going to see it, then it's not going to do anything. So make sure you are actively spending time in the mornings, afternoons, evenings, whenever the best time is for that community, and engage with them, actively converse with your people. You're not, and I think that applies on every platform, to be honest. You need to talk to people, and I found so much in our own social media performance. We perform way better, even if we weren't posting, we're stagnant, when we are really talking to people in their posts. So it's a give and take. You've got to give a lot to get a lot.
And Elle, like, how kind of, this is almost going back to a previous question, like, how does a business figure out what platform is right for them? Is it a case of like suck it and see?
No, it's you can figure it out, but you have got to ask yourself a few questions. What do you want to achieve on social media? Who's your target market is our little word of the day, I think, because that's important. And I think look at your goals and look at your target market, the two first things to do. What is it you really want to achieve, and who is going to help you achieve them? I do hate it with a passion when people are like, what should I be on? This is my business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't give you an answer. Don't make me out to be this evil person, because you got to ask a few questions first, and you've got to deep dive into your business.
Yeah. And do you get different types of personalities, for example, or different types of audiences on different platforms? So Molly was just saying Twitter is like very vast, and it's, you know, very community driven and opinionated, and
definitely. So we work a lot with the financial property markets, a touch of legal as well, because it's kind of, it turns into a bit of a specialized area. And we have 2 financial advisors, both are on completely different platforms, but it works really well for both of them. But that's because, one, their audience is different. And I'm not just saying like their target market, men, women, it's like age, interests as well. You don't think about your customers' interests, but that's just as important. And their tone, like you said, and how the platform is also depends. It's also what you can manage as a company, or what you're going to be hiring out someone to do too. There's a lot to think about, isn't there? I'm so sorry for you guys.
You know what? This is the thing. It's extremely underrated how much goes into the back end of social media and asking these questions, because as soon as you start digging, you fall down the rabbit hole and it gets overwhelming. Whereas, as you know, Elle, you probably feel this as well, like running a social media service, you have to have those structures in place. So it's a formula. That's it. It's not so much about a matter of opinion. It's about what the data and what the results are, and who you are. All of these things, like you add all of these factors up, and then it sort of equals, and then this is your strategy, and this is what you should be doing moving forward. So and it is intense.
So, and it's not just one strategy either. Sorry, Aaron. It's not. It's like LinkedIn, Aaron. It's not just one strategy for the same platform either. Like, there's so many different approaches you can take. So the best thing to do is either just call Molly and I and say, "This is it."
It kind of segues on to my next question. Like, at what point, say you've been having a modicum of success with your social media strategy, at what point do you call in the pros? Because at every level, like it seems that businesses get to a point where they're like, we need to work with an agency for this. I mean, it was the same in web design. People would be happily, like, you know, doing it in-house or with freelancers, and at a certain point they go, oh, okay, we need a proper website now. Like, I guess, do you guys, you must experience, I'm assuming you experience the same in social media. Like, at what point do you find businesses come to you saying, we've got this far, now we need your help?
So for me, it all depends on what stage of the business they're on. So on like one end of the scale, we work with big businesses, been going for some of them like 50 years, construction, or, you know, they're a new business, but they've like sort of jumped past straight away. And they've got everyone on that end of the scale, they would have already tried to do their social media in-house, or they would have tried to bring somebody in, or they would have given it to a family member to run. And what tends to happen is that the accounts go stagnant, and either the owner hasn't got the time to do it, they've passed it over to a junior, but it's not quite how they want it, but they haven't got the attention span to give them that time, or, you know, it's not doing anything, and it's not serving a purpose. So, and on the other end, we'll either work with, because that's the thing, if you start a business, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to turn it into a multi-million-pound company. Like I know someone who they're like bossing it, and they're a team of one, they're based from home, and that's the life they want to live. So on that level, you've got somebody who doesn't want full social media management like these big companies do to take full control. They just want a bit of guidance. So that's something that we considered as an agency. And funnily enough, naturally happened during our growth, where we had these divided people. So number one-man bands, or small teams, or people who were more than capable of doing their own social media, but didn't have the direction, didn't have the industry knowledge to say, what do I do, what don't I do? Because there's so many options, it's overwhelming. Someone just wants to be told, what platform should I be on? What's my long-term, short-term goals, and what's my strategy? So that's where our social media consultations come in. We then work with people that say, listen, we've got an in-house person, or, you know, we've got someone who's capable of doing it, but we need weekly help to achieve our goals, and that's where our mentorship package come in. So we're helping the in-house person, or we're guiding the director to say, this is how you do it. Or I was nearly broke into song then. This is how you do it. And then we meant to do the full social media management, where we even have something called where we take over the full management, now how many platforms they want to be on, stuff like that. But it's the case of, we have something called a preparation month. We know that this time with this client is so precious, they're so busy, and we need to suck like everything out dry, like squeeze them like a lemon and go, give me every trip. So we have to put systems in place where as soon as they sign up, we're like, right, okay, what are your goals and objectives? What are your unique selling points? What's your competitors doing at your, and they have to give us all of that. We turn that into content, and what we do now is bring in a photographer, videographer, graphic designer. They can sort that out, we can sort that out, and we schedule it, get it all out there. So it really depends on the place where the business is, what they actually, the scale, and really just their approach with getting themselves out there.
Yeah. Elle, is that similar experience for you, or do you see anything like slightly different?
I actually, you know what, a bit differently, but I can see also your point, Miles. I always, in my training, it was really key. Someone said to me, what don't you want to do in your business? And what you don't want to do, don't do. Obviously not every business is in that position to not do what they have to do. Us included, like we want loads of videos, but we can't right now, you know? But then there's always options out there for you to be able to do things a bit more easily. So I suppose it's right, okay, what am I struggling with? And we usually find people will come to us saying, look, I'm struggling with this, but I don't know what my options are. How much do you charge? And if they want management, at the end of the day, they can, and they can't necessarily afford an agency, they can go to a VA and have less. But it's understanding the quality as well in that. But then there's other services that Molly and I might offer that can help someone along the process. So with consultants, we work a bit different with our consultancy, and we say, right, you use us once and never use us again. You will put it in your systems and processes, and you can just repeat unless your need and wants change in your requirements. So it's you got to know you're in a bit of a predicament first, or is us as social media people telling people what their problem is without them knowing it is a problem.
It's a classic. Yeah, that's one of the things that I did get from what Molly was saying. It sounded very much like you will kind of know when you need to get the pros in, and if you definitely need to get the pros, like DIY sometimes you get those personalities that should have got the pros a long time ago, but they're confident in their own abilities.
Yeah, but then you've got the lovely Lucy here comes to our social media workouts, which made me laugh when you said social media is kind of like the gym, because we've got a social media gym and social media workouts for that particular reason. But it just gets people like Lucy, sorry Lucy, I'm putting you in a little bubble here, but individuals that run a good business, they do it themselves, but they just need a slight encouragement to do something weekly, and for someone to check on them or to be there to ask questions. There's just, you know, we can help in all different ways, and in different scenarios of your business. It depends what us as business owners do as well as what you guys do. Yeah.
We got a comment from Glenn. This was sort of replying to Dave, which is another, I think it's a huge topic of conversation, but one that I guess we're all really, really kind of aware of, which is about understanding how the algorithms differ between platforms. I guess there's this kind of symbiosis to some extent of the algorithm does a thing and everyone changes their behavior to optimize it towards the algorithm, but then the algorithm changes to almost optimize the behavior. But I guess it's just a kind of almost a word to the wise that what works on one platform algorithmically might not necessarily work on another. Do you guys
if someone says they understand the algorithm, I'm just gonna be like, how? Because it changes every day for me. Like there's never gonna it's keeping up.
It's one of those things,
just
isn't
insane.
it? Whoever says they understand the
is.
algorithm definitely doesn't understand the algorithm.
No, I would say so. It might be a bit controversial, but it's like Google. That must be something to contend with, you know.
Yeah.
But you know things that will work. So we know consistency works. We know engaging with others work. It's those foundational assets, like with anything in life, you've got to set in place.
Yeah.
Just like buying a house, you've got to save money. Otherwise, how are you going to buy a house unless you've got daddy's help, you know? So you're always going to have those things that you have to do in order to get somewhere.
I think it's also as well is, again, it's looking at the platform, thinking about, because I tell you what, Twitter is like quite intimidating actually. And so all of them in their own little way are quite intimidating to business owners, because I personally think that there's an issue in the sense of how we look at social media. Two things. Number one, we look at it as an extension of our commercial marketing techniques. So, for example, if we was all going to go to an event and put a banner up, we would put up our roller banner, we'd have our leaflet. In those leaflets, we've got our text that we have designed specifically to entice people, to sell to them. The roller banner's got my business, and someone will come to my stand or they'll come to my website and they understand that on this level they'll be expected to be sold to. It's just a given, you know. And some people do it explicitly, some people do it in a nice conversational way, but regardless, when you go to one of those exhibition stands, you know the coup. That, and again, it extends to leaflets. We send out little pins to people. We send out everyone understands that by advertising that, they want their company logo in someone's office and it's got that brand recognition. When we take that approach to social media, people are taking that sort of direct marketing strategy and applying it to their social media, and it doesn't work like that. I do not go on my phone of an evening to be sold to. I do not go on my phone to hear about someone's interesting opinion on a blog on something that has got 600 words and it just is just going on and on and on. But don't get me wrong, I'm not going to slag off blogs because they're really important, and actually bite-sized, credible information is enough. But people are taking the umbrella of social media into the same umbrella of their traditional marketing techniques, and they're not. You've got to complement what is already working and not looking at the success stories and think, what can you actually do? You're going to see people making professional videos, podcasts, and you know you're not going to do that. So what are the things that are working that you can actually do? And what are the platforms and what are the successful things on the platforms? Because at the end of the day, all the algorithm cares about is keeping us happy. Am I, as a user, happy to be using their platform? And that's why they're going to put the posts that I've already told Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I like that type of content. I also like this type of content. Fantastic, Molly. We're going to show you more of it. So it's all just about, number one, what is working? Number two, how can you bring that to life? And number three, as Elle said, talking to people. Because it's the worst thing, and I'm done like this because and I shouldn't, because I do it myself. And what you end up doing with your marketing is talking to yourself. You post so much about what you're doing, how you're feeling, and you're just having this conversation with yourself. You're not taking the time and effort to think about what the conversation is, extending your business, extending what you do. And that's one of the hardest things as part of our social media management. I can say to a client, is our campaign content, this is our strategy for the month, what are you doing in the office, what are you working on, let's do that. It's the middle ground. What are the things that is in conversation right now that we can join in? For example, we had a chat with a client who's in construction at the moment, and although they're always in construction, but we're having a conversation at the moment about the Euro 2020 sweepstake and about how, you know, a lot of people are talking about that, getting excited about the matches, it's generating conversation. We're going to integrate that as part of Twitter polls, but also part of their Instagram stories. So it's not a leading thing in their social media, but it's a nice touching point that shows that not only are we up to date and relevant, but it's a conversation starter that someone who's got an interest in football can also join in with. That's not something that's silly, not something that's trying to fish them in. It's something that is a relationship builder. just like when you're at a party. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is hard.
You go
Excellent.
to parties.
Oh, I'm dying for a party. Do you know what? I've been to a family barbecue and I just think, I've spoken to you like this whole pandemic. I need some more interested people.
So get me an invite.
On that note, I think we got to wrap things up there. Thank you, Elle. Thank you, Molly, so much. That was like definitely a lot of knowledge condensed into a very small amount of space. And so I'm actually quite excited to kind of share what you guys have offered to everyone. So Kent Digital Meetup Ashford, that's us, that's what you're looking at now. We've come together with Southeast creators who are part funded by the European Union Regional Development Fund to offer a series of free one-to-one peer mentoring sessions. So what's going to happen after this meetup? Both Elle and Molly are going to be offering a limited amount of sessions. I know Elle mentioned it at the end of her talk, where you can sit down and just get you're getting a bunch of free advice about a topic that, I mean, like what, 11 years at 6'2", and like social media was a thing a decade ago. It's still a thing now, and people are still not sure what they're doing. They need experts, they need help. So there are 4 spaces left. You'll need to be quick. If you want to book a session, you can go via the Eventbrite page just there. I'm not going to read out that URL, but I will post it into the chat.
I've shared it in the chat.
Megan has shared it in the chat because she is amazing. So yeah, if you want to continue this conversation and actually just have it more focused on your business, then definitely book up and snap that up real quick. There is a survey. That is all. No, there's a Kdm survey, and it takes about 5 minutes to work out. Please fill it in and say lovely things about me and Megan. The link to it is there, and we do actually read it and we use it to improve KDM. So this is why they're getting better and better, but I am getting progressively worse in life. Next meetup is Wednesday the 21st. Doing so well. 21st of January. I will never do live TV.
Is that July, Aaron?
July? Did I not say July?
I said January.
Yeah, don't
Did
start.
I?
We don't want to start
I
in
said
January.
Yeah, 2022.
I thought I was bad.
Time warp. Making up lost time. 21st of July. Thanks, Linda, for the fact check there. Our speakers, they're still to be confirmed, but the theme will be events. Do you remember those things? Events where people got together in large rooms, and we just packed as many people as we could in there.
So you don't think we'll be back together again for the 21st of July event then?
I don't know. They're umming and ahhing. They are umming and ahhing, aren't they? I just, yeah, I don't know. I feel like...
can't make that one anyway. I'll be in Aldborough.
You're
Nice.
in where?
Aldborough, buying little shell ornaments from the seaside shops.
They're called knickknacks.
Yeah, I'll be getting... Yeah, that'll be my first Ashford KDM I won't attend in a while.
Oh, good God.
Sorry.
Sorry, KDM's cancelled. Linda's not going to make it.
Yeah, Linda's not going to be. You'll get so much more done.
So go to our meetup page to register, and we'll be holding it in Linda's honour. And we look forward to seeing you there. Upcoming meetups. This is the slide that I always forget, isn't it, Megan? I'm like, yeah. That's the end. But there's another slide. Upcoming meetups. We're going to continue sharing the meetups between the 3 hosts to bring you 2 meetups a month, which, as I said earlier, was every 6 weeks for me. So, and I think I forget something new every time. So maybe I'll just forget what a meetup is, or forget what Zoom is, and be like, hello, why are you in my computer? Who is this? So the next KDM Maidstone, which will be the Maidstone one, hosted by Supersonic Playground, Wednesday the 23rd of June. I did get that right, June, J-U-N-E, June, from 5:30. Speakers and theme to be announced. And then KDM Medway, hosted by Clockwork Moggy, home of the tallest marketer in Kent, on Wednesday the 7th of July or January, depending on what time you're running on. And that's from 6:30. Speakers and theme to be announced soon. That is it. I'm out of slides. I'm stop sharing. Thank you everyone for coming along to KDM. Thank you to our speakers, Molly Wright and Elle Cloak. And thank you to all being wonderful and putting up with me again. I think in 6 weeks' time, you will have forgotten just how many mistakes I make during this. But if you want a reminder, then we've literally got all of these on YouTube for you to go, this guy is terrible. So yeah, that's it from me. And
brilliant.